We're all familiar with the three whats: what it is, what it can do for me, and what does it cost. Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, can help you find the answers with insurance coverage to help protect what's most important to you, all at a price you can afford. So while you're juggling work and kids while trying to keep an eye on your financial future, Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, will make sure they are the first ones there when you need them most.
The kids are back to school, and your schedule is busier than ever. From daycare pickup, doctor's appointments, sports, and college tuition, a parent's signature is a powerful thing. Have you ever stopped to think, what would happen if you weren't able to provide one? With thoughtful estate planning, you can make sure that your child's health and education needs are met in the event of your absence due to a temporary incapacity or even death. The estate planning team at Hurley Burrish is here to help.
Fostering deeper relationships, influencing behavior change, developing resilience. You're about to start winning. Here is your host, Christine Bright.
Welcome to Parenting Game. I am so glad you are here. Well, as much as we say that we're not going to do it, we're going to do it. And that is setting New Year's resolutions, because it's a new year. And today on this episode, we're going to help you set some healthy family habits with my guests Emily and Lauren from Orange Shoe Fitness. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I'm really excited to share with families how they can incorporate fitness and make it a healthy habit. And what I love is we're going to be talking about is how to make it fun for those little ones in your life. But before we dig in, share with me, Emily, a little bit about your family and how you got involved with Orange Shoe.
That's a really great question. So I have a background in science, and getting into a fitness realm was never on my radar at the beginning. But once we had our 5-year-old Annabelle and our 2-year-old Colton, getting our family involved in this really healthy, long-term kind of habit every day makes a huge difference. And I see families that want to make that change, and being able to show my kids what it looks like is really important to us. So we kind of have been in a healthy habit from the get-go, and we found Orange Shoe, and it was just really a great marriage of our ideals and what this gym stands for.
And how long have you had your gym?
So I own the Sun Prairie location with my husband, so it's a family affair, and we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary in July.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Lauren, share a little bit about your family and your journey as well.
Sure, yeah. Well, I came to fitness a little bit roundabout. I actually have my master's in social work, so the idea of behavior change and coaching is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And I realized early on that I wanted that work to be around wellness and health and fitness, because I see how impactful it is in the day-to-day life of the people that I get to be around. And so actually back in 2006, I started as a personal trainer, kind of a career shift went into that. And by 2007, I was working towards opening my first Orange Shoe studio. And fast forward 16 years later, I now have 3 Orange Shoe locations around the Madison area. During that time, I started a family, so my husband and I now have 3 kids. My oldest is a 4th grader, and I have twin boys that are in 2nd grade. So we are, it is busy and it is fun. But just like Emily said, it's really been a process of thinking and being mindful of what are the things that I want them to take away into their life beyond, the roots that we give them when they take their wings and go on, and the habits and the lifestyle that I want to allow them to really flourish with. So healthy habits.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when we talk about, incorporating fitness and fitness with family, of course, as you both said, families are busy. So how do we do that? We're going to explore some ways to do that. And then how do you do that when you have a range of kids.
Yeah.
You know, is it something you can do consistently? So we're going to dig into a lot of those different questions and answer those for families.
Yeah.
So you're looking to give us advice so these habits are lasting.
Correct.
Right? Because, you know, as I started the intro on it, it's a new year and we all do it again. And it's difficult to find those things that work within the rhythm of your family. And why I wanted to have you guys on there, and what I love about the content that you're bringing, is you're going to give us some really easy, practical ways where this can be long lasting in the rhythm of your family. So the 4 things I know you're going to touch on is consistency,
Right.
leading by example, make it fun. As we saw, there's like tons of cool stuff behind here on how to make it fun, and accountability.
Yep.
So we're going to have you guys go ahead and jump in and share with us a little bit about the consistency piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And really thinking about this, it may be the time of year that we're setting some new processes and habits, and we might think about it a little bit like a resolution, but think about it as like, what am I going to be doing, not just in 6 months or a year from now, but how is this going to impact my family in the long term, years from now? And consistency is really one of those things. So trying for whatever you're looking at, whether it's being more active with your family or nutrition or stress management, like go for 3 times a week minimum, right? But every day is even
Something.
even better, right? Even if it's just a very small act towards that overall goal. Yeah.
One of the things that I like that you talked about is 5 minutes is better than 0 minutes. Share a little bit on that.
Sure. I feel like there's this thought process that if you don't get your workout in, today was a failure. Or there's this pressure that you have to have everything. You have to do the 30 minutes a day. You have to hit 5 days a week. And obviously that's an ideal, but what's not true is that 5-10 minutes would be a waste of time. Really making sure that you're getting whatever you have time for in that day dedicated toward what your goal is going to make a longer lasting impression than if you go hard for 6 weeks, hitting that 3 times a week or 6 times a week, and then kind of fizzle out. The long-term changes come from small, manageable steps instead of that big, overarching, gotta hit it hard in January 1 and then fizzling.
And I mean, for the purposes of this conversation, we're really talking about doing things with your family, with the kids, right? And so, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've started a workout and like there's a meltdown and I'm pulled this way and I want, you know, sometimes I have to get out of the house, and that's when I go to Orange Shoe and I get the other me time. But there's other times where it's like, you know what, part of this is just showing our kids what we're doing, and if they see it in their head that 5 minutes, it's the same as an hour. Like they don't quite have that same concept of time, and so 5 minutes is definitely better than 0 minutes. It might be as simple as just putting out your yoga mat. That's easy, or you're putting your shoes on, whatever it is, and then seeing where it goes from there. So the consistency in building the habit is really that first layer. Like it doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, everything spiraled out of control, I don't have time anymore. It's like, can you still do 5 minutes? Maybe you don't have time to get that sweaty workout because you don't have time to shower before you have to get on to the next appointment, but you've got time to do a little bit of movement with your family.
You know, I find that for myself, because being a parent and family coach, you know, I'm kind of at the mercy of when people are scheduling coaching. And this is something I had to work through, right? Because you get into this idea that consistency means I'm doing the same thing, like I've committed to this 30 minutes, I'm going to do that every day. And I think the big relief that you're giving parents and families right now is the consistency is doing something. Like I'm going to commit to working out 3 times a week. It may not always be that 30 minutes, but I'm going to commit to doing something. And I think that will help so many families.
You're building the habit that eventually gets easier, and you can add a little bit more to it every single time.
Well, and then the other part too, which we're going to touch on, is those ways to make it fun. I think we can get into to that trap, then it's no longer fun because
Sure.
we're putting all this pressure
Yeah.
on ourselves.
Right.
So I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, leading by example. I
Number
mean,
2,
you know, that's just
huge.
parenting in general, but share with us a little bit of pointers on how, you know, as a parent, you can lead by an example.
Sometimes it's just really hard, right? Like, it takes so much work you have this, "Hey, we're gonna have fun, guys, we're gonna do this great little workout together," and then everyone's whining and grumbling, and somebody's off in the corner, like, mad about some other thing, or you're like a referee because they're fighting. Maybe that's just my kids.
It's not just your kids.
No.
But so you're like, oh my God. But you know what? Once I start it, like, I might have to say, hey, let's do this, and nobody's doing it with me, you know. And 3 minutes in, someone else is coming over, and we're getting going, and by 5 minutes in, maybe 2 out of my 3 kids is, maybe by the end everyone is, but it's just leading, you know, saying, okay, let's do it, and not, you know, there's times where it's I just want to be like, fine, whatever, but really sort of getting back to that consistency, like, hey, I'm leading by example. I'm going to show them that we can do this.
Yeah. Well, isn't that the way too is, I mean, I just know that as an adult, you know, I'm not a big class person, mainly because I just don't like somebody telling me what to do. But there, you know, I go into it, but as you go, those endorphins and everything start kicking in, you know, and it's the same way with your kids. If you're like, I'm going to do this and I'm having fun, woo, and stuff, it draws them in. You know, so it's definitely your attitude and in leading. And as I said, don't get defeated if they're not all jumping in that day.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're looking at not a short-term goal, but a long-term.
And really finding the ways to engage with them and really be active with your kiddos. I know you were talking about some stuff that you guys do.
And I think what really drives my kids to get engaged is if we do something that they already like to do.
Yeah.
So my 5-year-old loves to dance. She loves to be competitive. So anytime I challenge her to a race or challenge her to jump on one foot as many times as she can, she is game. She's down. She wants to beat everybody in the room. So I feel like finding what kind of excites your kids and drives your kids is going to be better at getting them engaged with what you're doing. Also kind of reading the room. If they're bouncing off the walls, maybe doing some stretching or some yoga or something that's fun, or letting them, you know, sit on your back while you're doing down dog, anything like that to kind of get them moving, but also meet them at their level is really going to encourage that engagement, with, at least with my kids, I imagine.
Yeah.
When we go to the park even, it is so easy to say, oh, okay, it's time for mom to have a break. I'm going to sit and watch you play. But my kids will never be more excited than when I'm chasing them around and my daughter makes me play Lava Monster. And do I want to play it? Probably not always. But it absolutely just makes their day if I'm chasing them around and trying to grab them through the bars and stuff. And they are getting so much more out of that as far as activity and just movement and having fun doing it.
Well, and I think just for us too, as adults, like you said, we go and this is like our downtime, but we need to think, oh, have I gotten my activity in today?
Absolutely.
You know, this is a good way for me to get my, and using muscles, I don't know about y'all, but when I get down at a playground, I'm going, oh, those are some muscles I haven't used in a while. You know?
Like this time of the year, when we head out to go sledding with our kids, there's the same thing, like someone's like, oh, they're gonna wear themselves out. This is good for me. And they're like, okay. Just a couple times up and down that hill, like, yeah, you're getting going, your heart rate's going, and that's great extra activity for you. And the kids see you engaged, and you can talk about, you know, like what your body's doing and how great it is that you get to do this. And so I think really just all of those things, leading by example, being engaged, and just getting out the door to do it is key. And of course, sometimes it's just, you do need to also just set yourself as a priority. We're talking a lot about how we're with our kids and doing these activities. And then there are other times that it's really important for them just to see that you're setting yourself as a priority. You're taking care of your own health and fitness. And that might mean that sometimes it's not with them, and but they still get to see and witness that, you know, you're setting that as a priority and you've created that important habit for your lifestyle.
Yeah, to keep moving.
Yeah.
You guys had a couple other suggestions too, and I love this one. We forget how much our kids are taking in from us. You know, how much they're watching us. And you put a caution in there to watch your dialogue around fitness.
Yeah.
Give us some tips on that.
I would always recommend not making it sound like you have to do this, but you get to do this. Your body is able to do these active movements and these fitness things that you really want to do. So instead of making it framed as like a chore or an obligation, really making it sound like this is kind of a reward for the hard work you've been putting in, or this is something that you're really passionate about and you're excited to pursue, whatever your goal is. Making it sound like it's something you get to do and you're excited about doing.
I am big on words, and that little word change is something I'm going to take. I mean, I don't have any kiddos at home and stuff right now, but even just for my own mental, because I'm like, oh, I have to go to the gym, I have to go to the gym. But to be like, oh, I get to go to the gym. Not only, you know, I can afford to have a gym membership, I have the time to go, you know, I get to go, it's going to be better for me. I love that. Because that just changes your outlook and how your kids are going to, you know, perceive it. We get to go to the park. We get to go be active and do sledding. One of the other tips that you have in here is a nice little, and when we were talking about this initially, like what was going to be discussed here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that tip. And I wish I was working full time with the family now because I'd like implement it. But this little tip about what you do when you're prepping dinner and everybody's getting hangry. Share this tip. I think it's lovely. Yeah, me too. I love this tip. It's so easy.
Sure. So I started doing this really early on when I had my little ones, and if anybody that's been over to my house around dinner time witnesses it, but I will chop, if I don't have some veggies or fruits, whatever, chopped already. A lot of times I have them in the fridge and I'll just put them out on the counter next to me as I'm doing all the other dinner prep and all the after school shuffle. But then, or while I'm making dinner, I chop the veggies first and I set them out on a plate. So when everyone's coming over, I want something to eat, I need a snack, I'm hungry, including myself. We're going for those best options instead of like reaching into the pantry for whatever granola bar or crackers or whatever are there. And then I'm feeling good about the choice that we're all making. Everyone gets to have that little snack, but not sort of ruin their dinner or whatever's ahead.
Oh, that was so good when I heard that from you, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could implement that one. Okay, I want to make sure we have time to talk about this. Make it fun. You have a lot of ideas behind you there to show us on how we can make working out fun.
Yes. So, I'll put this out of the way. So many things that we've been talking about are like, how are we doing this with our kid? How are we going to get them really involved in the process? So simple ways, and this might not feel like it's the best workout for you, but it's a great thing to do with your family. And so some simple things might be using like a deck of cards or dice. So if we pick an exercise, let's just say it's jumping jacks, right? We're gonna do this together, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Christine, go ahead and roll the dice and maybe keep it on the mat. Okay, so I like this because at a younger age, they have to start practicing their counting, their addition. Our dice is a 4 and a 3. We've rolled a 7. All right, you guys, we're going to do 7 jumping jacks. Okay, ready? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's so, but we might, pick a whole bunch of exercises and use the dice, use a deck of cards, pull out the card. That's how many reps you're going to do. The kids then are involved and they're having a lot of fun with it. They think it's great because they are in a little bit of control of what they're doing. Do you want to talk about your dance parties?
Sure. So my daughter loves to dance, and her favorite people to dance to are Michael Jackson, go figure, and old school country music. So anytime we put anything by Brooks and Dunn on, or Michael Jackson, she just jumps up, she starts dancing. But what she really loves is having a dance party. And My husband's a little bit hesitant to jump in on that. So I have her bring her stuffed animals. So she'll have everyone kind of set up in a circle, and they'll have a big dance party, and she'll, toss them around, do crazy stuff, make them dance together, and she just absolutely loves having her friends, jump in on that dance party too.
Yeah. So
That's fun.
she's being super active, and she loves it. My boys, they are crazy into Super Mario, and so one of the things that they love to do that gives them permission to tear the house apart, I let them build an obstacle course. Essentially, they call it like their Mario world.
Okay.
And so they feel like then they're going through the tubes and they're doing the power-ups to, pop ball. I don't know, And so, but it's great. They spend time making that obstacle course, and then we all do it together. So, maybe your kids have a favorite theme, characters, and there's some way that they can incorporate that into their workouts. It's not going to feel like a workout. It's just going to feel like play. It's just going to be fun. And that makes it, they're being super active. You're doing something with them, but they are really excited about it, and they're seeing how they can move their bodies in different ways.
Well, and it opens up the door for creativity too, right? So thinking outside of the box, like what can we use to jump over or to crawl under?
Absolutely.
And two, sometimes as parents we get locked into like, this is the playroom, but we have a lot of house. So opening up the house to be, part of that whole obstacle course, I think is so much fun. And then you're bringing in, steps and, turning your body different ways, all that functional fitness piece that's really important. So I have found too that obstacle courses are a great way to get your kids active.
Especially in the winter when the outdoor things are somewhat limited. It's really fun for them to still have all of those different elements that they would find at a park, but in your basement or in your kids' rooms, or making it go from upstairs all the way down to the basement and having different stops they have to do and challenges they have to do at each stop that they make.
Yeah, and timing it is also a fun way. Can they improve? I have found that works really good because,
Sibling rivalry.
Sibling rivalry is always kind of there. So I've always made it more about like improving your own time. So like I'm going to time you, and let's see if you can do it, quicker, the next time.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of fun.
And we like to do these things that are sort of screen free. We get us all off of viewing the TV or an iPad or something. But I will say that especially during this time of the year in the winter when it's colder, there you can find some awesome things on YouTube or other channels. Go Noodle, Brain Breaks. There is kids themed yoga, and it is so fun. I would just say that every now and then, make sure that you, again, are doing it with your kids, not just to like, okay, let's put this on. Like, yes, I know we all need to do that sometimes because we need a little bit of time to go do our own thing, but it's great to actually do those activities with the kid. They're a lot of fun, and to be honest, you're going to get yourself moving.
They're challenging. Yeah. We found this one, it was dinosaur yoga, and it was 5 minutes, and by the end, I'm going, that was really challenging. But it was just a lot of fun. We're laughing, they were, and too, I think it's good for kids to see that you're not perfect and can't do everything either, but you're still trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is a fun way to see, because kids typically are much more flexible than we are. And, for them to be able to do it and we can't, if we can just be okay with ourselves and say, that's awesome, I'm going to keep trying. Is really a good view for kids to have with their parents.
Absolutely.
To do that. Okay, our time is going quick. So I want to make sure that we show some exercises. But the important piece is, okay, how do you modify them for if you got different age kids? So we are going to get into a little bit.
So we'll go ahead and show just a few different examples. And Emily will go through and do some moves, and then I'll talk about how we could change that up for different ages. So we'll talk just really simple, your basic squat pattern, right? So you're gonna have your feet about hip width distance apart and just taking it down and up. You can always have a chair behind you, just touch your butt down to the chair, stand it back up. If you've got that infant, our little bunny rabbit is our infant, just holding them is great. You're engaged. and they're going to add just a little bit of weight, change your center of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
As they get a little bit older, once you've got, once you have maybe like that toddler age, kids love, as long as you know your form is great,
Mm-hmm.
take it to the piggyback with them and they will love it. And then even as they get a little bit older, just go ahead and do those squats on your own. You can start challenging them with different things like squat jumps, maybe mixing up, you can do whatever, there you go. Mixing up how and what type of squat you're doing. So there's tons of variations on that. And it's just a really simple basic movement that will get everybody's heart pounding.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about planks. So this will be our last one, I think, to talk about here. We love doing this simple plank and having your littlest one, your infants, all of those that are still not quite mobile, down on the floor right underneath you. Just holding that for 20 to 30 seconds is great. Then you can always let your knees down, take a break, and go right back up.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of variations, of course, understanding where you are along your postpartum journey, and as you get older, or as you get further into your parenting life, not necessarily older, being able to make those challenges. And the kids, they're going to love it too. Once they're in that toddler range, they're going to be able to do planks with you. It may not look the prettiest, but their core is really, really strong. And so they are able to get right down there and do those things with you. And as they get older, they're going to challenge you. Take an arm off the ground, take a leg off the ground, all of those great movements.
So there's a lot of ways to incorporate your family into fitness, modifying it. That's the one thing great about having a trainer, because this is all the type of information that you can, because I'm sure you guys do help families with modifications. Hey, I got some kids, how can I incorporate all that? So if they come and see you guys at Orange Shoe, you're going to be able to answer so many questions for them and help them on their family health journey.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you guys so much for coming on and being a guest, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Parenting Game.
We're all familiar with the 3 whats: what it is, what it can do for me, and what does it cost. Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, can help you find the answers with insurance coverage to help protect what's most important to you, all at a price you can afford. So while you're juggling work and kids while trying to keep an eye on your financial future, Tyler Rickenaugh, Country Financial, will make sure they are the first ones there when you need them most. The kids are back to school, and your schedule is busier than ever. From daycare pickup, doctor's appointments, sports, and college tuition, a parent's signature is a powerful thing. Have you ever stopped to think, what would happen if you weren't able to provide one? With thoughtful estate planning, you can make sure that your child's health and education needs are met in the event of your absence due to a temporary incapacity or even death. The estate planning team at Hurley Burrish is here to help.
Thank you for watching The Parenting Game. All episodes of The Parenting Game are available on demand at sunprairiemediacenter.com.